Gear up! Let's move!
You think you got some guts, don't you?
This isn't us.
Well, look, it's all or nothing. It's all been leading to this. Let's move.
Call of Duty has changed. It's got a new, albeit old, World War II setting, fresh multiplayer, and of course zombies. But is it enough? Here to answer that question is Leon Hurley. Hello, Leon.
Hello.
So let's start with single player. It's changed, it's got a new setting, but you think it's more of a greatest hits than a cohesive story?
I think it's interesting in that, obviously, World War II, with the old CODs, the problem with World War II is once they'd done the beach landing a few times, they'd done this a few times, that a few times, they were struggling to find different things to do, so you end up in Italy, you end up in Africa. This is kind of free from that constraint, so it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to do the beach landing, we're going to do that bit from Band of Brothers where all the trees explode and they have to get in the trenches, and like, so it really ticks the boxes of like kind of popular sort of memories almost of like World War II action. But the first half is a little weird because the first half kind of jumps around a bit almost. It feels a bit like the order you're playing the levels in is not the order they were made in, almost like it's been like when they do with TV shows where they rearrange the episodes to make it more exciting at the beginning. The last half is great. Like last half settles into a proper, head of steam, momentum builds up, you have a clear purpose. The first half is a little bit kind of like, what am I doing now? Why is this happening? But it is. It works overall. Like the getting rid of all the gimmicks and the guns is really nice. Like it's a slower sort of pace now, and the guns feel more meaningful because you have like Thompson machine guns and these Type 100s and these old kind of clattery tin machine guns. But you pull a trigger, they make a noise, somebody dies. It's sort of cleaner and more enjoyable. There's less of that kind of space race stuff where you used to have like hollow displays everywhere and like guns that did weird things and drones flying over. This is like point gun, shoot man. That's all you have to worry about.
And moment to moment, it's still full of the classic like COD spectacle. And
oh yeah,
pieces and
yeah.
All that.
It does. There's some great stuff. I mean, the D-Day landing is brilliant. It's that proper kind of like, you stand there for a second. You're like, my initial thought when it started was like, Jesus Christ, how did anyone do this in real life? Like, I mean, not to belittle it in any way, but it's like, it's just this incredible sort of spectacle. There's moments when buildings are collapsing later on. They do the Hurdigan Forest, which was in the Band Brothers TV show. That was an artillery attack, and in the TV show the trees are exploding and falling, and they do that like perfectly. It's very much has gone back to that kind of the original COD thing where you're almost kind of like, I recognise this bit from that film or that TV show, but it does do a good job, and you do sort of wander around like almost like looking up and go, wow, this is amazing, and also I'm dead now.
And so even if you're not interested in Call of Duty multiplayer, it's still a solid single player shooter as it always has been, really.
Yes, yeah, like it's always a good sort of single player. So the package is always good each year. This is the first year in a while I think that the single player it just struggles to find its feet. Like it's sort of really anxious at the beginning to show off some variety and some sort of breadth to what it can do, and it weirdly gets better when it just gives you your four guys and you go off to do one thing at the end. But there's lots of stuff going on. You're riding around jeeps. You're doing a few sort of spy stuff. There's a lovely bit where you go undercover into a German embassy, and they keep asking for your papers, and you have to remember your papers because they go, so what officer are you working for? What country are you from? Where are you going? And if you get it wrong, then they know something's up. So you properly have to play as a spy, and but basically that references a very famous level in Medal of Honor 2, I think, where you have to walk around and you don't have a gun, and when you press fire, you show them your papers. So it's kind of doing a modern version of that, and it is really good fun.
Okay, well, let's move on to multiplayer then. Everything's been stripped back. There's no jetpacks anymore.
No.
We're in the classic settings from World War II. So what is that like to play now it hasn't got any of that technology?
It's really good fun. Like I genuinely loved it. Like normally, I play a lot of Overwatch, I play a lot of Destiny. When I go into sort of Call of Duty, it's just there's flashes and noises and people rush past and you're kind of like struggling to keep up with whatever combination of score streaks and gadgets and things people have got. Now you still kind of have gadgets and score streaks, but it's much simpler. You just have a gun, you have some grenades, you have like abilities that tie to different classes. So you have like assault, expeditionary, mountaineer, and they're like basically snipers, assaults, that sort of thing. But it's much cleaner. It's a little slower pace because obviously you don't have the boost jumps, but that just makes it more sort of accessible and easier to process. So and it's much more about like being aware of the space and knowing that if you run around that corner, you're probably going to get shot to pieces. You should probably take it slow. It's sort of spatial awareness and your skill with the guns rather than having the best gear and knowing that bottleneck is always where you're going to get someone. And I generally, really enjoyed it. There's a new mode called War Mode, which is like sort of an objective-based thing. So, for example, D-Day, you play the D-Day beach landings, one team attacking, one team defending, and you have to try and hold or take the beach, then you have to destroy some radio gear, then you have to sort of blow up some guns so the beach can be taken. There's 3 maps. It needs more because the 3 maps, like, you get used to them pretty quickly, but you're escorting tanks, you're trying to destroy artillery. Every time you win or lose a point, it moves on to another one, so you're progressing through this sort of linear series of objectives. That's really good fun. Like I say, it does need more maps, but overall it feels like if you've always been put off COD because of the sort of the future tech and that whole sort of the speed of which it goes by, this is much more sort of, I don't want to say slower, but it's taken back a notch, and it is just much more about how good are you at shooting people, not how good are you at unlocking stuff.
And that's just the war mode that has 3 maps, like there are obviously.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah. There's about 10 maps I think in the main single player, and they're really good maps. So you got Caratan, which is back from from Call of Duty 2, which is the small French village, and that's still a brilliant map. It's like just loads of corners. You're sneaking through houses. You're having like a little firefight every sort of 20 yards or so. That's really great. There's a really good map called Gustav Cannon, which is the famous Nazi cannon that was the biggest cannon in the world. It's only, like, I had to put it on a train. It was so huge. That's a very long, thin map with lots of open spaces. That's a really good for sniping one. There's a brilliant map I forgot the name of now. It's basically on the top deck of a battleship, and that's great because it's like the the Call of Duty 4 map that was set on top of the tanker. So it's just long, thin, but quite small. So it's like it's too short for sniping, but there's long spaces where it's risky to run through. So all the maps feel really good. It's really like well designed. There's lots of variety. You're always thinking like I should probably change out my gear for this map because you can't just sort of find one loadout that will do everything.
And you've got the core multiplayer modes in there that everyone we're familiar with.
Yep.
So like TMD and Hardlink are in there.
Yeah.
There's also a new take on Gridiron.
No, Gridiron's a new thing. So Uplink,
New take on Uplink.
yeah, Uplink used to be the one with the ball where you sort of run around, and it was a bit more sort of basketball-y almost because you obviously had the boost jumps and wall runs. So you'd grab the ball and you'd be trying to run around to score points by throwing it in an area. Gridiron is like I'm actually going to say a boots on the ground version of that because obviously you can't jump, you can't run around. It's a bit more like American football if you were playing it in a park. And I never particularly liked Uplink. I thought it was a bit kind of gimmicky, and I went into Gridiron with the same sort of feeling. But you get into it, like there's a proper push and pull of grabbing the ball and trying to get it to the points, and because there isn't all the sort of the gimmick and the flash and the whiz bang happening around you, you start to sort of shout out where the ball is, and I need someone to go up here, and I'm going to pass it over there, and it actually works surprisingly well.
Okay, and then on top of all that, you've got the pit, which is the 1v1 area where you can go and just challenge someone to a fight with any kind of weapon, really.
Yeah, well, so this is in headquarters, which is essentially Call of Duty's tower, like Destiny's tower. And you go there, there's contracts and bounties to pick up where you do your emblems, your gun customization, but there's a firing range for like shooting to test out your guns and score points. The pit is a 1v1 arena. You're going with a friend, and it's quite small. It's like literally like a sort of half a tennis court size. So it's all about you go in there, you're dead in like minutes, and you come back out and you repeat it. But it's really good fun, and you can pick like sensible weapons. You can pick machine guns. You can dual wield like pistols or whatever. But it also has stupid stuff. So there's like one hit kill spades, and there's like Panzerschreck rocket launchers, and you're having a one-on-one rocket launcher match in an area that's like 100 yards square. It's chaos, and you can stand around and watch people playing. You put your name on a board, and everyone takes turns to go in. If you win, you spawn on top of a bunker, and the only way you can reach that roof is if you win. So you get to sort of stand there and go, I'm the winner, and then you jump back down and go straight back in. But yeah, it's brilliant, like stupid fun, and the headquarters is good for that. Like in the same way the tower is, I'll just go to the tower, and then 2 hours later you're still there fiddling with bits and pieces. That's what headquarters is, but for Call of Duty.
Okay, and then finally we've got zombies, which was the only thing that you found a little bit disappointing because it's just zombies again, which isn't a bad thing.
It's disappointing is a bad word. Like I don't mean like it's bad, like it's great, it's good, it's zombies. But it's after they were sort of teasing like, oh, something's coming, it's going to be something's different. Look, wait till you see new zombies, and it's just zombies. And in fact, if anything, it's more like Nacht der Untoten, like the original zombies, where it's dark and a little bit somber. Like all the zombies are like. The idea is that this is like the efforts of the Third Reich's like last-ditch attempt to win the war, and they found a way to like surgically bring soldiers back to life, so it all sort of ties in a bit to like Mangler and stuff like that. So all the zombies come out and they've got surgical braces and like armatures and stitches. They look like they've been Frankensteined back to life. But it is the same thing. You start off in a small area, you kill some zombies, you get some points which are called jolts. You use that to buy guns, to open areas, to unlock like power-ups, like quicker revives. There's like an armor machine that gives you some armor. And it's the same thing. You progress through different areas, unlocking them. This has got a slightly more obvious narrative to it in that you get objectives saying you should open the salt mines now. And so if you follow those, you will get led through. But that's not the only way of completing it. And yeah, disappointing is not quite the right word. It's still great fun. Like I really enjoyed it. It's just a sort of sweary, stressful, shouting at your friends and whatever. But it's no different to any previous zombie mode.
Okay, well that's Call of Duty World War II. What are we giving it, Liam?
4 out of 5.